Hello, hello everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. Alrighty, let's pause that for now. So we made it through our first lab. Fantastic. Again, totally optional. I don't want anyone to feel obligated to come in. It's just a chance for us to sort of be there in person, and at least we can get close enough to see each other. It's usually a little easier for me to walk around and answer questions in that sort of environment. But we had, I think, 5 people came out of our group of 14 or maybe 12. It's hard to tell who actually is still involved. I'm sorry. I think 12 people did the quiz, and there's 12 people subscribed to the book. So I'm going to guess 12 out of the 14 are still active. Hope you brought your coffee. All right. So we are in chapter 3 here of our text now, using types. So types are different ways of storing data, different types of data storage. Right? So it's not just integers or just strings or just those floating point numbers. We've got a variety of them that we can use. And the chapter is going to feel really long. If you guys had a chance to check out Zybooks, they do a really nice job, actually. Let's see if I can pull up my book here. Come on. I'm signed in already. Just remember me, please. All right, I got to check out the Twitch inspector here. I had a little bit of trouble this morning with the class. I had just a little bit of lag, but I think it was working better. Just had the one dropping portion. So let me know if it gets choppy or anything. I'll see if I can give my internet a kick. Come on. Okay. Yeah, it's looking good so far. Bitrate seems pretty stable. Awesome. All right, so in chapter 3, right, each of these sections has like a ton of this practice portion in here for you, which is fantastic. Again, you get points for doing these activities, running these challenges here, those sorts of things. So they are important. Do keep up, and stuff will come from the quiz. I think I remember to post the other quiz for you guys last night. Let me double check. Our chapter 2 quiz. Yep, so I did the chapter 2 quiz. I didn't get it out there until last night or early this morning, whatever it happened to be. So I've got a week or so to take it. If you need another day because I didn't post it for you right away, please let me know. That's a fair complaint. But I'll try and give you at least a week on things when I do make assignments. So do that one. And then if you haven't had a chance yet, there's a whole module around the academic code of conduct. There's a quick little, it's a quote quiz here where you agree that you read the module and you'll agree to our academic code of conduct. So that one is important too. That'll be required for sure before you turn in a big project, or our first project that we're going to talk about this week. So we'll do that as well. All right, and Pycharm, I had to uninstall and reinstall. It was really unhappy with me on my laptop for some reason in lab yesterday. I don't know why. That's fine. In this new version, I didn't have the latest and greatest. It gives you a default main. Sure, if you like it, that's fine. If you don't like it, you can go about and add a file the way I did. I like not having to do extra work, so I'm going to go with this one. So we'll call this week 3 here, and that's types. We can put that in here. Week 3 types, and we'll call that a project, and we can start doing some code here. Do let me know. I know chapter 2 might have felt like a lot, and we went through it relatively quick. So if you feel like you need some more practice on that, let me know. The Zybooks is pretty good about getting some practice exercises in there, but if you need more explanations about it, please reach out, shout at me in Discord, in Twitch chat somewhere, and we can go from there. Let's see. Okay, someone just joined the Discord server. That's cool. So, and nobody is hanging out in lecture voice chat. Let me know if you want to hop on that as well. All right, so again, I'm going to just get rid of all this stuff here because that's fine. We don't need any of that for now. Okay, so we got an empty main, and if I check my GitHub client, I should close out of Slack here. Don't need that. Okay, so if I check my GitHub client, GitHub, come on. I think I just need to reload my whole computer. It's been running slower lately. Should have our repository. Let's take a peek. You guys probably don't have more than one, but I've got a ton in here. So, all right. So here's my repository. Oh, I don't need any of this math problem stuff. I was having fun with someone had a math problem example they wanted to play with. So I can probably get rid of all of that. I'll just discard. So because it's really good at tracking changes to files, if I don't want those changes, you just right-click the files you want and say discard, and it undoes the changes. In this case, it will just delete the files because they were brand new files. That's one of the things. Once you have a commit, right, that's the snapshot, that point in time of the way your directory looked at that point in time, we can always get back to it. Oh, all right, one more time, discard. Try that. Okay, so here's all my week 3 stuff, right? I want all those files. I see there's a main file. It's fantastic. And we'll just say started week 3. Again, commits are free, right? Commit early and often. Oh, look at that. I even have, so my buttons pull because I did some work on the college computer. I gave a little starter sample code, a couple examples that might be useful for completing that lab exercise. That one's not due till a week from yesterday. So do let me know if you have questions about the lab exercise. We can talk about it as needed. Just reach out, let me know. Again, the goal of the labs is it's practice time for you. They should be things that are relatively easy enough to accomplish without too much help based on the stuff we've talked about in lecture time. So that's the goal. I don't always meet that goal perfectly, but you know, it's a chance to practice is definitely a good thing. So don't just sit around and not ask for help. We have labs on purpose so that you can ask for help. If you get them without any help, fantastic. If you need to ask me 50 questions about a lab, that's okay too. Don't feel bad about it. That's why we have the time, in fact. So, all right. So my repo's up to date. I committed that. We've got a main here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you, and we can start doing some examples. Right. So we've done like whole numbers, like 10. Right. That's an integer type. We've done floating point numbers, numbers with decimal places. Right. Like 1.1, 11. Sure. 1.1, right, they have that. We've done a bunch of text, or strings, bunch faux text of text, right, with single quotes. These are lots of characters. Okay, so these are types we've already talked about before, and we've worked with these ones a little bit. We're going to get into some newer types here, and then a little bit more detail about strings specifically, because strings are actually kind of a fun type as well, and you get a little bit of extra stuff around strings. So if you were curious, like name equals Eric Charneski, and you wanted to know how many characters were in my name, right? We could say your name has, and you can either comma separate, right, or you can do the concatenation yourself. If you comma separate, it's much happier about converting numeric values into strings for you automatically. If you want, you can do the concatenation and force it to be a string with that typecasting we talked about. Either way is perfectly fine. I'm just going to do the comma separation. So I'm going to say len of name. That's len short for length, the length of name. And now that's every character in Eric Charneski. Remember we talked about these characters here actually have a Unicode value that, you know, you can get the numeric value of the Unicode character, that ASCII table that we looked at last week. So each of these will have a value. Even the space here is technically a character. So I'm going to get 14, right? Because Eric is 4, Charneski is 9, plus a space. Should be 10 plus 4, 14. Right? So let's see if I can get that to run. And we'll find out how many letters are in my name plus spaces, which is a little unfortunate, but that's okay. Where's my run? There it goes. Run, run, run. 14. Oh, we should probably, say characters, including spaces. And again, it's kind of boring if name is fixed here, so maybe name should be input, enter your name, right? And then whatever name they type in now will get, oh, they have run. That's really unfortunate. I have to go to this run menu here, whatever. Yes, run main. Okay, so enter your name, Eric Charneski. 14 characters including spaces. Fantastic. So again, we can use some input. It all works that way. So strings are kind of fun, that you can do some fun things with it here. And if you wanted to, we could say, hey, let's pick out a couple characters in your name. And Python, like most languages you run into, but not R, I believe, and not MATLAB for some reason. Still trying to figure that out because, like, I don't know, that's fine. We would say that each of the characters has an index value. So if you imagine my name here, let's put that back as my name, Eric Charneski. So each one of these things here, I'm going to put it in a comment, has a position or an index. So the first character is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that all works up until I get double here, right? I can't actually fit on and on and on. I can't fit a 10, 11, 12 nicely underneath the name. But you can imagine that you can get individual values here by index. So if you want, say, like the first character of your name, you could print your first initial is, and then I'm going to say name, and you get this funny syntax. You would say it like index of. You use the square braces. You say name index of 0. So give me the character at index 0 in your name. Okay, and I'm going to use name here because whatever you typed in, I'm going to use. I'm not going to use my name Eric Charneski here, which is fine. Why? I really want my run menu back. That's all right. So we run, we'll enter a name, we'll say Eric C, just a little shorter, and initials E. Perfect. So you can grab individual characters out by index that way. Let's see. String length, indexes, yep. Brackets, index of. Okay. So I'm just making sure we're covering all the things here, flipping through the books really quick. So that's it for now. Again, we're going to come back to strings a little bit later on. I should look at my camera, not over here. In chapter 7, when we get there, we'll do a whole lot more with strings. For now, this is probably enough, and we'll as needed, we'll come back to it here. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is a container type. So remember, a string, I said, is just a sequence of characters, a list of characters. Right? That implies we can hold many of these things. And we can have our own containers that hold more than just characters, which is pretty cool. So I can make a list of things I might call names with an S. And the syntax for that, when you create a list, you use square braces. So we're going to use these braces for a lot of different things, and it's sort of a context specific, where you might say, in this case, you want an index of something. In this case, you're saying it's a list. And the reason why they share, so I'm going to plug in my watch here. The reason why they share that is anytime you have this list or a sequence, you can get things by index. So we use that same sort of notation, there we go, to say this is creating the list and this is getting a single value out of the list by index. So in names, I might have, what's a good list of names here? Let's see, we'll do Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So a common sequence of names I'm familiar with. So we'll have a list of names here. So what we have is each value in this list or this sequence, this container, is its own string. So if I want to get the first value out, right, or we'll just print names. Print is really good at turning things into strings. If you start at the very beginning, you can go back to the lecture recordings, Fragging Randy. I've got the whole class on lecture here, or on my VODs. They should be available for at least 45 days or so. So you can pick back up if you need to. But I'm assuming you're not one of my students, because hopefully you're not jumping into week 3 brand new. If you are, direct message me offline and we'll chat. So you can print a list here, and it's going to look very similar to what we added here. So let's put Eric, and I get, hey, that's the list represented as a string when I print it. Sure. So you can get the entire list out, just like we can get an entire string out, or if you want, so this is, we'll say the whole list of names, just comma separate it, or maybe we'll say, how about the second name in the list? And so I would say names index of, and what index do I want to use if I want the second value? Remember, just like our string sequence here, our list here, the first thing is at index 0. We're 0 based with our indexes. So 1, perfect. Great job, Doomsday. You get 10 bonus points for answering that correctly. Unfortunately, bonus points aren't worth anything. So, all right, so we'll do names index of 1. Look at the second thing out of the list. So Eric, and Mark is the second name in the list. Fantastic. So I can get values from the list. Now, say I wanted to take what you can get, yeah. If I wanted to change what's in the list, say that we want to rename Mark here, I can say names, index of 1, right? So names at 1, at index of 1, let's assign a new value. Let's put a new thing here. Okay, sure. So maybe it's not Mark, maybe it's Bob. They're similar to arrays. Are you arrays like from C++? A list is much more like a vector. Or if you're from Java land, more like an array list. So, and different containers will behave differently. So this is specifically the list container itself with the square braces. So a list, I can change the value stored at a given position. Right, so we can change it to Bob, and then we'll print the whole names of the list again. And when we run this guy, we should see that Bob takes over for Mark. Okay, because we changed what's at the first position, first index, which is the second value. So Bob comes in. Now say, maybe I didn't want to overwrite someone's name, maybe I want to add someone. Right, so we can add items to our list here. When to add someone to a list, we say list, the variable for the list. So we're always referring to the list by the variable for it. Remember, in Python, what that variable does is it says, hey, go point to this location out in memory somewhere. We don't have to care where it is, right? That's Python's job and the operating system's job. All we get to do is use it. So we're going to use it by name. We'll say, hey, go find the list out there, and I want to append. And append will say, hey, let's add something to the list. So let's add someone to the list. How about we add Eric to the list? Okay, then I can print names. And we'll see what that looks like after adding Eric. Eric. Fantastic. Ooh, instead of appending Eric here, let's append name, right? The name variable that we got up here from our input. Right, why not? Because we might want to make this nice and dynamic. So we'll add Eric C, and then Eric C gets added to the list Matthew, Bob, Luke, John, and Eric C. That's not as familiar of a list as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but that's okay. We're just having some fun with our examples here. Now, that's updating a list. Right, this is essentially replacing the value at this location. We could also, if we want, like add a last name. Maybe we wanted to say update Mark's last name. And so instead of replacing it with the assignment operator, maybe we want to say, hey, it's equal to names plus Bob. And I'm going to add that space in here, right? I want to say, hey, take the value here, append or concatenate in, right, this string of space Bob. So it's Mark Bob. Does that sounds right as a name? Sure. So we can take the value that's there, and so we're not updating the value that's there, we're replacing it with this new value. Again, strings have this fun idea of being immutable. Don't worry too much about it. It'll matter much more next semester when we start talking about performance of stuff. But now we'll see. We have Matthew, Mark, Bob, Luke, John, and then Mark, Bob stays there. We added in Eric C because that's what I typed up here. I've had a lot of coffee today, so please shout at me if this is going a little quick. I'm really happy to slow down if you guys want. The problem is I get bored of hearing myself talk, so I tend to rush through things. Yeah, immutability for the win, for sure. So it's not inherent to the list. So a list itself is mutable. We can change the list. We can take stuff out, we can add stuff in, we can update stuff at locations. But what the immutable part I'm referring to is the string itself. So the string we can't change. If we do say something like this, so take this string, add in space Bob to it, what it's doing in memory is it says, hey, Python, go store a brand new string, here's the value of it. And then what names of one assign a value does is update where it's pointing in memory. Okay, so another thing we might have a list of scores. Right, so scores equal, or assign, right, we're going to assign the thing on the right to the variable on the left. And now I'm going to give it a series of scores. So let's do 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 75, 22, 190, I don't know, right? We can just make up some numbers here. Sure. Oh, that 190 is going to upset me. Let's change that to like 93. Okay. Tag yourself. My score's 22. So we have a list of scores. What we can do is we can update a score. So when we have integer values, right, these more primitive types here, the list is storing the value here, and we can update it because integers are mutable. I could say, hey, scores at index of, where's that 22? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Scores of 7 plus equals, let's add 50 points, right? You just got 50% better. And we can print scores. So let's say print scores. We'll say these are the original scores. Original scores. Oops, I should use the same quotes here. And then we'll print a modified scores. Again, what it's going to do is essentially the same thing we did with names. It's going to take the name at index 7, which is the 8th index, right, because we're 0-based. It's going to feel funny for a while, but then you're going to love it, because 0-based index notation just makes so much sense. When you go take discrete math, for some reason they use index 1 as the first one, and I don't know why, but sure, you guys are smart enough to deal with it, right? Okay, so we got Eric C, we added myself to the list, I have my original scores with the 22, and I have my modified scores with the 72, because we added that. Now what's going to happen here is, say if I said like scores of 9, because I don't know how to count right, and I said 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and if you counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you tried 9, you'd be in trouble. Yeah, ints are mutable, so you can change the value of an integer in memory without it changing its location. Yeah, the memory address stays the same, unless you're like adding an int to a float and then you're really changing it behind the scenes, and then it's no longer an int. But essentially, you can do arithmetic with integers in memory, and they'll stay in their locations in memory. So if I said scores of 9, right, because I forget how to count here, I'm going to get, oh, big fat red error. That's an index error. These are going to be the worst thing as you learn to code. But it's okay. You'll learn to count better as we go. Other languages, you might get index out of range exceptions. These are index errors in Python. It says list index out of range. It means, hey, index 9 is not within the range of the index. Oh, you are going to get banned, sir. How do I mod you? I don't know why I'd want to buy followers. That's just silly. Where's my... Okay, I gotta fix my screen here a second. I don't have enough space to actually see this guy. I'm sorry. Apologize. Timeouts. There it is. Time them out. Okay, sorry about that. That is the one downside. You get, every now and then, you get some spam or trolls in here, so... If any of you guys want the mod sword, let me know. I don't think you can screw up too badly with it, so if you want to battle the trolls with me, I'm happy to take some assistance there. Okay, so again, we can change these values perfectly fine by list. Now, if we wanted to remove something from the list, we have two options. You can remove things by index, or you can remove them by value. Now, there's downsides to both. The downside of removing by index is, obviously, you need to know what index it is. Right? That's not actually the most terrible thing in the world, but if you don't know where the value is, you don't know what the index is. And one thing to note about lists, notice we're always accessing things by index because the position matters. So a list, it's a positional list. So if you're in the first position at the front, you stay in the front. If you're in the second position, index 1, you stay there. As we add things, we're always adding to the end of the list. There's appending. And we'll get to other options in just a minute. But for now, we can add, we can update in a given location, and then we're going to look at removing either by index or by value. So let's say we wanted to pop out that 22 out of the list. We'll say scores, and pop is what we're going to use to remove something by index. Let's remove scores of, is it 7? Yeah, that was 7 originally. We'll add 50, we'll modify it, we'll take it out, and then print it again. And what's going to happen is anything after it, oh, let's not do 7, let's take out that 60. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, I'm sorry, that's the 4th index, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's pop out index 4. I'm sorry, my door might be open. My kids are being a little loud. All right, sorry, you guys love that chair stream, right? Oh, you can't even see my chair. My laptop camera angle is a little high. All right, but we're going to remove the thing at index 4. Now let's see if that removes. Eric C. Great, so the thing at index 4, right, that's 60. Oh, sorry, I got to zoom that in for you. Enhance, enhance, enhance. Right, was taken out. It removed my index. Now, if we wanted to remove something by value, let's, I know, not even a chair stream. What? I'm a terrible streamer. It's a good thing I don't do this for money. It still boggles my mind that people can do this sort of thing for money. Oh, a dad joke. Yes. I did mention my kids. You're right. They love my dad jokes. So I'm going to get mixed up on which ones I've told which class, but this one was one of my favorites. So, did you know that oh man, I gotta look these up now. I'm terrible with names. Let's see. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Come back here. All right, I'll get it. Okay, so in St. Martin, you can get a apple pie for $3. In Antigua, you can get an apple pie for $4. But in St. Thomas, you can get that same apple pie for $3.50. Now you guys know the pie rates of the Caribbean. You're welcome for that one. Yeah, I can never remember the names of the actual islands, but it's always worth looking up. That was awful. What did you expect when you asked for a dad joke? All right, so adding, removing. Let's do something by value. So if I want to remove a value, I'm going to say remove, and then I have to give it the value. Let's remove that. Let's take out the 70 here. Okay, and then we'll print the modified scores again. We'll run that. Enhance, enhance, enhance. We should lose the 70 now. Perfect, and everything after it just slides down into place. Now, with a list, you can have duplicate values, believe it or not. So I could have this one be 70 and this one be 70 here, and let's see what happens. Enhance, yes, exactly. The font size never remembers for some reason. So when I call remove 70, what remove does is it removes the first instance of that value it finds. So it's not going to remove all of the 70s. Right? It's only going to remove the first one that it finds. So it removes this one at this index. That's all right, Crutch. I don't know how to spell. There's no points for spelling when in coding class. At least in my class. And I would hope there'd be a rule everywhere, because it's not what we're supposed to be good at. Exactly. Yeah. Any IDE worth its salt will have a good spell check for you. It's fantastic. All right, so we can remove things by value. We can remove them by index, and a fun thing you can do here. So with any lists, Python is pretty smart. We can find the, let's say, min value, and we're going to say min of my scores. Right, min value, we'll do a max value, we'll do max is the max of scores, we'll find the sum, we'll just say min, max. I'm going to put some colons in here because that'll make me feel better. Min, max, sum. Now, you might think we could also do average automatically. Unfortunately, you have to flex a little bit of muscle here. So, do you guys remember the formula for average? It's the sum divided by number of n. And remember, we looked at that before, how you can find the length of a list, right? Length, len. So the sum divided by the length of scores should give me the average. So it's not built in, but it's not hard to calculate here. Right, and we'll take a peek, see what we can get. So Eric C, remove a bunch of things. Min 70, max is 100, sum 557, and average 79.57. Looks pretty good. Not too shabby. All right, would you give me just a second? I gotta go refill my coffee cup and put my toddler back in his pen. He is escaping, and the boy's a small monster. Yeah, sorry, my phone. I never remember to put it on silent. So I'll be right back. Let me crank the music for you guys here. I'll put that one back on. See if we can get some more music. And I'll be back in just a minute here. We'll say 14:05 or so. Just a minute.
Sounds pretty basic. We need a splash of Mio. That's fixed it. Mio adds flavor, giving you the power to turn water into serious taste. Want your water fruity? Boom, strawberry watermelon. Looking to taste the summer? Boom, Mio lemonade flavor. One squeeze of Mio into your water.
Oh man, we hit a Spotify ad.
Zero sugar, zero calories.
I guess that's fair. They need to support themselves because I'm not on Spotify Premium. Sorry for running that ad. Another one too. All right, I'll just leave it alone. Oh boy, sorry about that. Got my toddler contained. Got my coffee. I think life is good. Hey, awesome, Gabe Caruso? Glad you could come by, we're doing Python. That sounds like a fun, potential group of 3 numbers in an array, see if they add together to match a total sum or not. So, any combination of 3? Is that what you're trying to do? That sounds kind of mathy. Let's see. Oh yeah, interview questions? That's fun. Cool. Potential group of 3 arrays in an array of 5. Oh, that's not so bad. So we've done loops, right? We did, I think we did that. No, we didn't. Nope. So we just did variables and expressions. So once we cover loops in chapter 5, so after we talk about branching, and then after we talk about loops, I can show you how to solve something like that the hard way. There's probably an easy way to do it too, but it's not too bad. Yeah, if you're interested in those sorts of algorithm style questions, you guys will love 350 or 3501. I forget which one you guys have to take, which is algorithms analysis and design. It's super interesting. And then there is this cool thing. I don't actually know what's happening this year with it, but it's called Icpc. I think this is East Central North America. Yeah, East Central North America region. So this is our region that we're in. This was the 2019 version. I have no idea what we're doing for 2020, but it's a programming competition done all across the world, and it's essentially solving algorithms or using an algorithm to solve problems, which is really neat. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can do. I was the official coach, for what it was worth, of the team last year. We did all right. Nothing fantastic, but we had our fantastic UPE organization. Their honors society or something like that. They put together a team, did all the paperwork to get funding from the department, and we went out for that Friday, Saturday. Went out Friday for the practice round, stayed the night, did the competition Saturday. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do it again next year. Again, I don't know what they're doing for 2020, but we'll see how it goes. And you can check out some of the problems here. You go to problem set. Oops, I guess that's no good. How about scoreboard? Nope. That's weird. I want the Caddis page, right? Caddis. Oh boy, what is the site for it? ECNA dot. I don't know. I'll find it for you later. That's all right. But it is interesting. There's some problems you could solve. So back in some fun stuff we can do with lists, right? We can do these operations. If you were curious, we could find out the index of a given value. So remember we said you can have multiples in here, you can have duplicates. So we could say, hey, give me the, well, we're going to say print, the 70 is at index, and we're going to say my list, so that's scores dot index of a value, and here we'll give it 70. So index of a value will tell you what index it is. Now let's run this one. Eric. Great, so 70 is at index 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, say if we did like 77 and it's not found, what do you think we're going to get? Oh, 77 is not in the list. We get an error, fail. So do be careful with this. I'll show you, and it's not going to make a lot of sense until we talk about branching next week, how we can look for things inside of a list, but that's okay. So this one's fun. Just this error if the value isn't present. Fix it TBD. Or after chapter 4. There we go. After chapter 4 we can fix that one. Okay, so that's pretty fun. Yeah, more practices. All right, another sequence type, another container where the order matters is very similar, but we're going to call this one a tuple or tuple. I don't know the right way to do it. I'm pretty sure both ways are perfectly fine here. The difference is we use parentheses to create tuples or tuples. Okay, and what we get is the tuple itself is immutable, so I can't add things to it, I can't take things out of it. So if we do all these same things, let's do scores tuple, because that's how I pronounce it. It's spelled with a U, that's why some people say tuple, but I'll say tuple. Tuple, 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 right? Tuple, tuple, like tuple. Here, there we go. Scores tuple. I like that even better. Scores tuple. Tuple. Okay? And let's try all these same things here with it, and let's see what happens. And I'm just going to find and replace here. So let's edit, find and replace. That's Control R for some reason. That's weird. I want to find, oh no, I want to find scores, and I want to replace it with scores tuple. So here I want to replace, but not that one. So I'm going to skip. Oh no, I do want that one. Right, I want to replace that one, not that one because that's inside of string. Replace that one. Replace that one. Not that one. It's inside of a string. That one. Not that one, it's inside of a string. Replace, 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 and replace, right? So again, don't do more work than you need to. And maybe that felt like a lot of work, but use your tool, or at least if you just double click on it. Hey, Professor Peter and math crowd, welcome on into Python. Right? If you just double click on something here in Pycharm, or most anywhere in Windows, it'll highlight the whole word for you. If you do a triple click real fast, it'll get the entire line for you. So use those shortcuts. Hey, math gang with the beard. I've got this little tiny fuzz that I've had ever since I was like 18 years old on my chin, and I kept it. Oh man, yeah, drop those coffee emotes. Thank you so much. Hope you guys got your coffee. And look at that. Hey, if you guys are having any trouble with calculus, Prof. Peter's your guy. He is streaming his calculus classes. And office hours, you can drop in and ask him math questions. He's much better at math than I am. And because he's like the coolest math prof I've ever known, he will actually use Python for a couple math examples, which has got me like ridiculously excited and jealous that I didn't have him teaching me calculus when I took it. So, Control Q. Is that highlighting all of these? I don't know what Control Q does. Yeah, I might be biased about that for sure. I'm sure all my engineering folks who were in there for taking their calculus for engineering could care less about it, but you know, it's definitely it's a fun way to give some examples. I've got the class I'm taking now in data mining. Our prof uses MATLAB, and I've never used MATLAB before. And it's you know, I know a thing or two about coding. And I just have to look at it real cross-eyed when he does some of these examples in MATLAB. Like, huh, that's a thing. So I'll have to go find some good Google videos or YouTube videos for that. Anyway, so we're looking at the difference between a list and a tuple or tuple, where they're a container, a sequence variable here. So this can store a bunch of values. Hey, Crutch, all right, thanks for donating to the scholarship fund at U of M Dearborn. If I ever get dollars from Twitch, I'm sure they'll give me something eventually. I have to hit some threshold for them to bother mailing a check. So when it goes, I will be sure to give you guys the paperwork so you can see I'm not streaming stuff on Twitch just to make money off of Twitch. It's just a fun platform. Quick documentation for selected stuff. Fetching, oh yeah, okay, I don't do documentation for things. So that's really cool. I like that. All right, so let's see what happens when we try and do some of these things with our tuple, our tuple. Oh, tuple object does not support item assignment. So remember, a tuple itself is made to be immutable. You're not allowed to change the values inside of it. You can't assign something on top of it. What a flex. Yeah, that, I mean, it's great. This class is not about documentation. This is about, can we write code to solve problems? So I assume if you can do that, you can do the documentation part later, but I'm not going to waste the time showing you how. Not to say documentation is bad, but that's not the skill I need to teach you right now. So we can't assign values here, so that's no good. So let's get rid of that one, and let's see what happens next. Or should I just comment those out? No, I'll put what the error is here, right? This way. This is fun. We're going to list all of our errors here as we get them. Eric, uh-oh. Tuple item has no attribute pop. So you can't pop things, right? We can't remove them. Yeah, I guess it depends with what library you're using, or you know, what types. So the documentation definitely can help. Most of what we're doing is not going to be consumed by other people in any sort of library. We're just kind of learning some essentials now. All right, so we're going to put this one in here. We can't pop. I'll try and break these up a little bit here with some white space for you. For y'all. Okay. I should put the errors after, shouldn't I? Oops, I didn't want to shrink that. Look at that. Triple click for height. Triple click for highlight. I love it, man. I just love shortcuts. They're fantastic. Yeah, order of inputs, that is very helpful if they can pop that sort of stuff up. We're still real basic here. We're only in the 3rd week of class, talking about some types here. All right, and now we get, ooh, tuple has no remove. That was a big surprise for you. Can't remove things, right? If it is immutable, we can't change it. We can't add to it. We can't remove from it. We can't change the values there. But we can do all these other things. Min, max, average. Right? Those all still work. So it behaves the same way in that sense. Look at that. And I can even get the index of a value. Right? It's the same thing. There's not a whole lot I can do with it, but I can get values at that index if I want. That sort of thing. So tuples are pretty cool. Again, it's going to kind of depend on if you want the values to change or not, which one we're going to use. So if you have a list of items that is fixed, sure, use a tuple. If you have a list of items that you want to change, or a sequence of items you want to change, use the list object. Just either one. I most of the time use lists, just maybe because I'm lazy, and I don't know. There's nothing wrong with tuples, though. There's another type that we'll talk about in a minute. I don't actually like the order that they put these in, and I should have changed it. You know what? I can change it. I'm going to go change that in the Zybook because they let me do that sort of thing, which is fun. Oh, I have to remember the way to. I have to be in a certain mode to do it here. That's not it. Shoot. All right, I'll remember it later. So I'm going to skip over sets for a minute in case you guys are kind of following along in the book. That's my other computer I'm looking at, by the way. So the syntax for list is parentheses instead of square braces. So square braces will give you a list, like this. Parentheses will give you a tuple. That's a good question. So we're going to skip sets for a minute. We'll go to dictionaries. Now, lists and tuples were sequences. I mean, it's all just shortcut syntax. So unless you do it a lot, it's Python, right? We have shortcuts for everything when you create lists and tuples and things. Dictionaries now, instead of something being a sequence, what a dictionary is, it's a set of key value pairs. So you get a given key, and that key is associated with a value. So you might imagine, let's see, we could have, I don't know, a grade book as an object. That's a common dictionary. And now dictionaries get curly braces. Okay? This is awkward, but that's fine. So we have parentheses, we have square braces, and we have curly braces. They each do different things. So we say curly braces for dictionary type. That's a good thing. I should add some notes here. I love adding in some notes. So we'll say this up here. Parentheses for tuples. And one more up here. We'll say square braces for lists. Oh, you made your own index lookup for list? Ouch. yeah, the number one rule is don't reinvent the wheel, right? If it's likely someone else has already thought of that sort of problem. So our big job of being a programmer is finding the tools we need to solve problems, not writing the tools. Right? We find the tools and we just put them together and like hook them up and here, put in the little pieces and do all the wiring, and then it solves the problem for us, which is fantastic. Not always the case, but it's typically what we get. And the fun thing with a key-value pair, right, is that you have the key that you're going to use to associate with a value. And I mentioned it's set. Again, we kind of skipped over the idea of set. But what a set is it's a unique sequence or a unique collection, right? If you have a set of stamps, you're not going to have duplicates, sort of the idea. So I'm going to say, hey, we had Matt, and then the syntax here is you say colon. So it's key, colon, value. You'll say Matt has a 95. And then we comma separate these pairs. And we'll say Mark, colon, had 97, right? And Luke, good old Dr. Luke, I'm sure he had 100. Must have been a good student. And John was probably a slacker, right? He maybe had a 75 or so. So I make this series, or a collection of key-value pairs. And each key here is going to be unique. Of course, it doesn't like my spaces. That's fine. Okay, so we'll add these in here, and then if I say print gradebook, perfect. Again, let autocomplete do the work for you. You don't have to type everything all the time. We get back this same looking thing. I get the curly braces, and I get the key value pairs separated by colons. So we see, not too bad. Right, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, in here with their scores. One thing to note. Immutable elements can be used in sets. Sets can't contain lists. I'm not sure I 100% follow that, Noctis. Immutable elements can be used in sets. Sets can't contain lists, at least in a naive way. I mean, it's some awkwardness to what you're using for this key here. There's a lot of flexibility around it, and we can do some funny things with it. Again, we don't necessarily get a lot into that until next semester, Computer Science 2. For now, let's just go with the easy definition here. So we have each key must be unique. The values can be duplicated, but the keys need to be unique. And the way that we get things out of the gradebook is going to drive you crazy. And I apologize, I didn't write Python. It's not my baby. But it's okay. We will get used to it. So if we want to get someone's score, we're going to say, let's see, I don't know, score for, let's get the score for John. We say gradebook, because that's my dictionary object. And now I'm going to use square braces. And I know I told you before, the square braces mean index of, right? Like, hey, give me the value at index 7. Oops, I don't know what I just did there. Right, so this, in terms of a list or a tuple, gives me something at an index. Yeah, that's fine. Automod, I'm still learning how automod works, so sorry about that. It's set to be like sort of strict, because this is technically a class. If you exclaim class, hopefully I'll have my nice little Twitch disclaimer in there for my bot. So this, it means index of, when we're talking about lists or container sequences. So right where we can do that for strings, which are essentially a tuple, right? A tuple of characters. Thanks, Prof. Peter. Hey, you need the sword later. I gotta figure out how to make you a mod. I don't know if my bot knows how to do that. Mod Peter. Let's see if Nightbot knows how to do that. Nope, probably not. I haven't spent a lot of time. Yeah, it's something about it being English, right? Guido was a banned term by default. So, /mod. Professor Peter, look at that. Hey, it worked. Look at that, /mod. That's kind of handy. Thank you for that. You get a bunch of bonus points. Unfortunately, they're not actually worth anything. So, oh yeah. Figure I could probably trust you not to ban my actual students. I'll probably get in trouble for that. Although the VODs are going to be available. If you get banned from a channel, can you still see VODs? It's never been a problem for me, I'll be honest. Maybe? I do put them on YouTube as well for my class. So anyway, So the square brace notation here, we are no longer saying index of, right, which is unfortunate. It is index, or I'm sorry, a key of. So when you talk about a dictionary, you say square brace key of John. So it doesn't mean index of, it means key of. And this works because it's going to go find the value associated with this given key. So let's try it. We'll put Eric C for my name, yada, yada, yada. Here's my dictionary. Score for John, 75. Fantastic. Now again, if we screwed this up and I did a lowercase j John, right, we're going to get a lovely error here in a second. So you get a key error, John. Right, remember, Python is case sensitive. Yeah, Kiev? What do you... Oh, key, key of, Kiev. So apparently it's not pronounced Kiev. The natives there say Kiev, and apparently our State Department does, but the memo didn't get to other people. I don't know. That's a whole long story. I actually did spend almost 6 weeks there when we were adopting from Ukraine, so that was pretty cool. Your friend Kevin. All right, so this is key of something, and if there's no key, you get the key error. Just like we were saying, if you use an invalid index, you could get an index error. Think of it sort of the same way. So we're always checking this is the value associated with this key. Okay, so we can look things up. So we do lookups by key in a dictionary. Dictionary. Terrible at the English, which is sad because it's my first language. Any of you who speak more than one language, I have so much appreciation for you guys. I wish we did a better job teaching multiple languages here in the good old America. So we could definitely improve there. When I was a kid, we had a foreign exchange student stay with us from Germany, and he knew German and Spanish and English and a little bit of Latin. I want to say there was a fifth language he knew, and it was just ridiculous. So, all right. Hey, not a crook. We're just doing beginner Python, essentially. It's in the data science program here at the school where I teach. But we'll get into some slightly more interesting examples later on in the semester. All right, so we have dictionaries. Now, there's some other fun stuff with dictionaries. If I want to add someone to the dictionary, right? Let's say we're going to give Professor Peter a score here. I'm going to say key of Peter is equal to, we're going to assign a value to Peter. And let's say he's really good at this, so we'll give him a 27. So what this syntax does, remember, because keys have to be unique, it's going to see if there's already a value named associated with Peter and give it a value of 27, or create a brand new one. So if I do it a second time, and we say, oops, I maybe mean 27, maybe let's give him a 97 here. The first time is going to add it. So let's print out the gradebook again. Now we'll see it here. That should be the same here. So we'll print it after the fact. Yeah, we'll add it, print it, and then this is now an update. So the exact same syntax is an add or update. So it's a little confusing at first, but it makes a lot of sense because the keys are a unique set here. So we say, hey, Peter's got a score of 27, and then we did this here. So this syntax, this is add/update. Add or update. I don't know, add or update. So both add or update is going to happen here. You know, I saw someone using Mathematica. It looked really neat, but it was hurting my head, the things they were doing. I forget who it was. It was pretty cool, though. So it's going to look a little funny with adding or updating, but that's okay. And then dictionaries are mutable, right? We can change the values there, right? We saw we updated the value. You can also remove a value here. And I always have trouble remembering which one it is. Gradebook dot does not remove. Popping an item? Is that it? Oh boy, I'm trying to remember here. Pop item? Maybe. The ugly syntax that I hate here is delete. You say del gradebook key of, and let's remove poor John here. And then we'll print our gradebook. What is the other syntax? Why doesn't the book have it for me? My memory is terrible right now. Delete prices? Ugh. I hate that del syntax. But you can use that. It is not the more common one, and I'm trying to remember. I don't have it here in this section of the text. I don't remember why. That's all right. So for now, if you want to remove something, you can use del. I'll show you the other way. Pretty sure. Oh yeah, tidyverse is really cool. You guys will use that in your data science classes later on when they teach you some of the actual data science things now that you know Python. Great, so that's add, update, delete, hopefully del, delete, / remove, right, for that one. And we'll get more into that in a little while. Okay. So the different types we've talked about then, a quick recap, and then I think we're going to call it a day because you guys are doing great, and we do have Thursday as well to finish up the chapter. So we've done numeric types, right, whole numbers, integers, floating point numbers, with decimals, strings, right? We've used in strings, you've learned, are essentially sequence types, right? It's just a bunch of characters and you get them by index. It's essentially a tuple of characters. We just have additional features around it that you can do with strings because they're really cool. Ooh, another dad joke. Thank you so much for asking. No, I can't get enough dad joke. Let me find this one here. Oh, well, we'll go on the same theme. So I don't know about you guys, but I have never really enjoyed the ocean. Probably comes from growing up in Michigan. I definitely like the Great Lakes with no salt water. Like swimming in salt water is just, ugh, I don't enjoy it. So I'll tell you, I was out on a boat, but it was in Lake St. Clair, right? Freshwater for sure. And we were having a lot of fun, and we see this really tall ship with like actual sails and that sort of thing. It wasn't one of these tiny motorboats that we hang out in and go park on the sand beach or whatever, the little sandbar area and have a big party. This was like the tall sailing ship with the mast and the sails, and it was really neat, which have got to be really hard to sail, by the way. But so we had all of that, and I saw it, and usually boats have like funny names. You know, they name them like Queen of the Ocean, Queen of the Sea, or, you know, Second Love, I don't know, whatever sort of things. And this one, though, when I went to look at the name, I didn't see a name on it, but I saw a number. And I look over at my friend who owns the boat, and he's taking us out there for some fun. And I say, well, why is that boat named 3.14159? And he said, oh, because it's full of pirates. And thank you, Dodo, for a little stretch. Oh. Yeah. Those bites, those channel points, definitely come in handy there. You guys are helping me make sure I'm in good shape. Right, so our numeric types are sequence types, right? The sequence because the order matters, whether it's a list or a tuple or a string. We have mapping types. And the mapping type is the dictionary, right? Because we're associating a key with a value. It's a mapping between here's the key, here's the value. Here's the key, here's the value. The set portion that I skipped over is a little bit silly because it's essentially a dictionary without associations. Couldn't make it all the way through the joke. That's all right. Yeah, they're terrible dad jokes. But a set is just a dictionary without associations. All we're doing is we're using the uniqueness of the keys to contain a set. So use the same curly brace notation, but you're going to not have associated values. So all we're doing is keeping the keys, and we call that a set. Which, sure, I mean it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. Right, so what we have coming up on Thursday then, we're going to look at some conversions between types. We'll look at a little more string formatting, the math module to do some built-in math stuff so we don't have to do anything by hand, and look a little bit with binary numbers, and that'll wrap up Chapter 3 for us. Once we get into Chapter 4 and 5 later on, that's, where is it here? Files. Let's find our schedule. I think it's one chapter a week. So we've got a little bit of time. Then we'll be able to do more interesting things. So the first programming project we'll talk about on Thursday, we'll have 2 weeks to work on, but it's not going to be super interesting because we just don't have a lot of Python knowledge yet. I haven't used a lot of the tools. Where'd it go? Oh, right here, sorry. Yep, so we'll get to branching next week and then loops the week after that. And then it starts to get fun. That's like the essentials that we need. And then we start getting into some more interesting stuff. And we'll just keep on moving. The last part of the class, we'll do plotting using the matplotlib library. We'll do some visualizations. We put that in at the end after we cover more of the programming concepts. Again, the idea of this is a Computer Science 1 sort of course, but we teach it in Python for students in the data science program. So you don't need to learn a C++ or anything like that like we teach for our computer scientists to understand how to program. We're going to use a more accessible language, a much better language like Python to teach you how to code. And it turns out, hey, we use Python all throughout data science with other tools. I know R is popular and other stuff like that, but Python definitely has a big following in the data science world. So that's where we are. So I'll call it just a couple minutes early, and we'll pick it up Thursday for our lecture on that. We'll have a lab coming Monday in person if you want to come in person. If you want to do it remote, perfectly fine. Again, whatever you're comfortable with, I'm fine with that. And we'll just kind of keep that pace where we do a lab practicing the stuff beforehand, and we'll go from there. Scratch is the best language for data science. Nandar, you are fantastic. Yeah. You know, I've tried Scratch, and I actually have a small bit of trouble trying to use it. It confuses me every now and then. So, but it's really cool. A great little drag and drop interface for sure. So, all right, why don't I get some music going? Yeah. You can see in my bio, I've got a link to my profile and stuff. So, yeah, this is my syllabus. It's my class. So, yeah. You guys want to go raid somebody? Just for the Twitch fun of finding who's online and doing that raid thing. It's sort of fun dropping on other people and see if there's anybody on that I know. Yeah, we can go hang out with Prof. Melko. He's pretty cool, and he's talking about the recent news of that interesting find on Venus, apparently, which may or may not indicate life. We did him last time. We could see someone up there teaching. I don't know if they're open to raids. I'm going to go check out Dr. Young's lab, maybe. He's pretty fun, too. Let's try him. He's a chemistry teacher somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, we'll follow the whole stuff. We rated newbie math profs before, and I don't want it to like always be the same person. We'll try and pass the love around. So let's see if we can do Dr. Young's lab. See how well that... Yeah, his is starting soon? I don't know. We'll give it a try. So thanks, everybody. Again, totally optional for the raids, just part of the Twitch fun. I'll be hanging out on Discord for office hours after the fact. If you have questions, do let me know. You guys take care.